Throughout our modern-day world, thousands of flights take off and land every day with destinations spanned all throughout the globe. The lives of the passengers on board are dependent on the pilot's witty thinking and skill. However, some flights don't always go as planned, or even reach their destinations for that matter. These are 5 of the most significant aviation hijackings in history. Number 5. Dawson's Field Hijackings. On September 6, 1970, 4 airliners bound for New York and London were simultaneously taken over by Palestinian gunmen, who forcefully flew 2 of the airliners, TWA Flight 741 and Swissair Flight 101, to Dawson's Field in the remote Jordanian desert. All 310 passengers on board were freed, but 56 Israeli-born citizens and crew members were kept behind. The gunmen, members of the revolutionary socialist organization known as the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, blew up empty planes demanding to see the body of Patrick Arguello, who had earlier attempted to hijack LL Flight 209, as well as his accomplice, Layla Khaled. On September 16th, King Hussein of Jordan declared martial law, resulting in the exoneration of the remaining hostages, as well as sparking a war between Hussein and the Palestinians known as Black September. Number 4. Air France Flight 139. 6 years after the Dawson's Field hijackings, on June 27, 1976, 2 members of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine and the German Revolutionary Cells seized control of Air France Flight 139, an Airbus A300-203 en route from Athens to Paris and diverted to Benghazi, Libya. After releasing Israeli Patricia Martel, who returned to have a miscarriage, the remaining 247 passengers and 12 crew were flown to Entebbe Airport in Uganda, where 4 more hijackers joined. Later, on June 30th, over 100 hostages were released in Uganda and 106 remained. The hijackers demanded the release of 40 Palestinians in Israel and 13 various other countries, and threatened to kill more hostages if their needs were not met. Operation Entebbe ensued, as 100 elite commandos from Israel traveled to Entebbe International Airport in Uganda and engaged in gunfire with Ugandan soldiers. In the fire, 3 passengers, an Israeli commando, and 45 Ugandan soldiers were declared dead. 1 passenger who survived the carnage, Dora Block, was taken to the hospital, only to be murdered in her hospital room by a Ugandan army officer. Number 3. Egypt Air Flight 648. Although a bloody incident, Egypt Air Flight 648 is a morbid reminder on how not to deal with terrorists. On November 3, 1985, 3 Palestinian members of the Abu Nidal organization took control of the plane bound from Athens to Cairo. An Egyptian security service officer member opened fire, wounding and killing one of the hijackers. In exchange, he was shot numerous times and killed. Consequently, the fuselage of the Boeing 737-266 was punctured by the flying bullets, and the pilot was forced to descend to a lower altitude to avoid asphyxia. Low on fuel, the plane landed in Lucca, Malta, and a standoff proceeded. 11 passengers and 2 injured crew members were released, but Maltese Prime Minister Carmenu Massoud Bonici's approach resulted in the execution of 2 innocent American passengers. Egyptian commandos stormed the plane, creating a chaotic and fiery scene made possible by the commandos' explosives and terrorist grenades, resulting in the loss of a total of 60 of the 92 souls on board. Number 2. Iraqi Airways Flight 163. As the occurrence of deadly hijackings in the Middle East skyrocketed throughout the mid-1980s, air safety became a major scare globally, however, especially in the Middle East. On December 25, 1986, Iraqi Airways Flight 163, a Boeing 737-200 traveling from Baghdad to Amman with 91 passengers and 15 crew on board, was taken over by 4 men with Hezbollah. Security personnel subsequently attempted to neutralize them, but they responded by detonating grenades placed around the passenger cabin and cockpit. This caused the plane to split into 2 midair, causing a fiery crash near Arar, Saudi Arabia. Out of the 106 lives on board, 63 died, while the other 43 miraculously survived. Number 1. Ethiopian Airlines Flight 961. Captured on camera by a South African honeymooner on a beach in the Comoros Islands, the video of Ethiopian Airlines Flight 961's final moments stunned the world. After takeoff from Bole International Airport in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Flight 961 was hijacked by 3 nervous and young Ethiopian men. Informing the captain, Lul Abate, that they planned to seek political asylum, they demand to be flown to Australia. Knowing the trip could not be made with the small amount of fuel on board, Abate referenced an atlas and headed to the Comoros Islands, where he planned to find an empty runway. After the loss of both engines onset by fuel exhaustion, he was nowhere near Prince Said Ibrahim International Airport and was forced to ditch in shallow water just 450 meters offshore. As the Boeing 767-200ER touched down on the water, the left engine submerged, acting as a drag and ripping the plane to shreds. Against the captain's orders, many passengers inflated their life vests inside the cabin, trapping them as water poured into the fuselage. This is said to have increased the death toll significantly. Of the 172 on board, a mere 50 survived, including Abate and First Officer Jonas Makiria. Thank you for watching our latest video, and please comment on which future videos you'd like to see coming up.